Welcome to WTF, the only askreddit channel that will blow your mind. Like and subscribe right now to support Pepe's career as an independent musician. r/askreddit. What was the worst decision you saw someone else make? Some idiot I used to know was convinced pepper in the eye wasn't nearly as painful as people made it sound. We just watched him pour pepper in his open eyes and laughed when the screaming began. A ducking eyelash in my eye or a speck of dirt has me going ow 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 duck. So why on earth would you doubt the painful powers of a spice? He who controls the spice controls the universe. I saw an entire country elect an uneducated reality TV star as their president once. I saw a prime minister call a snap election despite having a majority and then losing it. I think I saw a prime minister claiming money doesn't grow on trees whilst disregarding underpaid workforces. Saw a rookie drinker at a house party mix Snapple with a half a glass of Everclear thinking Everclear was a simple alcohol mixer. 20 minutes later, projectile vomit everywhere. In a redeeming moment, a few hours later, he runkingly got up from his sleep and decided to haphazardly mop the kitchen and went back to sleep. That's a green flag of a good friend / party guest. Watch out for the what are some green flags for party guests / friends? Post later. Friends sold their beautiful home for a huge loss because they were concerned about the way things were going with the local real estate market. Later that year, gentrification took root and their house was worth almost 3 times what they sold it for. This is like RuneScape level panic selling, right? Reminds me of a story. A couple bought a property in a part of Montana that was having an influx of tourist money and now they're-ish. The wife wasn't happy. She wanted to live in Las Vegas. So she decorated the house in gaudy neon colors. After a few years, the wife got her wish. They put it on the market for $500. 000, around what they originally paid. No takers. So they pulled it off the market. 2 years later, boom. 2008. Real estate is now completely in the crapper. The couple completely panics. They couldn't afford this place if they sold their grandmother's. They end up selling the house. 16 acres of land with water source and several outbuildings for $125. 000, 25 cents on the dollar compared to the original price. Sold it, in fact, to a couple that had dreamt of owning the place for years. I don't know if the wife ever got to live all of her Las Vegas dreams. But I do know that my BFF and her husband are doing great on their 16-acre dream property. It took my BFF almost a full year to paint over all the damn neon colors, though. The moral of this story: never panic sell a property, especially if you have bad taste in decor. I witnessed my friend kick a skunk in order to get it away from him. Bad decision. I had a family of skunks that lived by my house for a long time. I moved. They're probably still there. They were always very friendly, so long as you didn't get too close to the kids or act aggressively towards them. They never let me pet them or anything. But they were perfectly content to chill out on the lawn just a few feet away. I told that to an idiot cousin who was over one day, and she apparently interpreted that to mean that it was okay to try and pet one of the kids. It didn't quite go according to plan. Do they really smell as bad as their reputation? They sorta spray hit on people who startle then. We don't have them in my country. I've never seen one. Edit. I've learned a lot about skunks and their glorious aroma. Thanks. And it seems like pets especially need to learn to flee the skunk. There was one incident in my hometown that made me want to tear my hair out. A family moved in a few years ago. They had 2 children. A boy and a girl. The mother was looking for work as a teacher, but there was no openings, so she worked as an aide. My mother was on the school board at the time, and she noticed that parents were complaining about the lady as she was apparently ignoring students and favoring others, getting angry when her children got bad grades from the other teachers, etc. Mom invited her to the next school board meeting to discuss the situation, and the lady went nuts. The conversation broke down into screaming, and the lady swore she would take mom's spot on the board. Sure enough, when election sign-ups went up online, she was the only person who ran against mom. After months of an attempted smear campaign, mom won the election with more than 200 votes. The lady only got 5. All from her extended family. So what does the lady do? She decides to pull both of her children out of public school as she doesn't want them corrupted by the teachers and the board. The son was a senior in high school, months away from graduation, and the daughter was in middle school. My sister was in her class, and she said the daughter screamed and kicked her mom as she dragged her out of the classroom to check her out, begging her not to do it. She left all of her stuff in her locker, and the school had to send it to them. When mom heard the news, she was horrified and tried to talk to the family, but the father had been browbeaten by his wife and refused to put the kids back in public. It's been a couple of years since then. The mom homeschooled the kids, but the son works in the oil field and is trying to get his jet. The daughter is a complete rebel and has been arrested numerous times for drunk driving and vandalism. But the mom still has the audacity to act smug whenever someone runs into her at the grocery store. At least my children know how to live in the real world. Sure, Kathy. Keep telling yourself that when you have to bail your kid out from jail. Edit. I know Reddit is pretty passionate about children, but wow. This blew up on me. For the record, yes, her name is actually Kathy. I believe she pulled them out as a way to get back at my mom, as she was her enemy since she didn't get a teaching job or her spot on the board. So she blamed her for everything. Mom didn't hate her in the slightest, but was very upset that she did this to her kids, who didn't do anything wrong. Both kids were under 18, so the son couldn't just go back on his own. I feel so sad for the kids. This story boils my blood. It's sad to see parents ruin their children's life. Was in Yosemite doing a hike up to the top of, I think, Vernal Falls. Some kid from a large church group decided to swim at the top in the, seemingly but not really, calm water at the top. I saw him get swept away and taken over the edge. The water has been running over there for thousands of years, so the rocks are smooth and there's no vegetation. There's literally nothing to grab a hold of if it happened to you. Was not in the mood to see a kid die that day. Read the signs and please stay the hell out of the water like you're told. Edit for even more grim details. The body wasn't found that day, or the next, or the next. I spoke to a ranger and he said that sometimes they don't get to retrieve the body until the summer, when the falls have dried up. This is because often the bodies get stuck in a current and thrown around in one area at the bottom, like they're in a washing machine. It's impossible to get to or even see them. I have no idea what's left of them after months of that. So, stay well clear. Something we learned swimming in creeks in Oz. Don't look at the surface. Put a stick in the water, and if it moves in your hand forcefully, don't swim. Either there is strong undertow, or if you're in the tropics, a croc. My friend Don, why he proposed to his controlling, angry girlfriend of 5 miserable years. I did it so she would stop asking. Wedding is in 3 months. Dude, you need to save this guy's life. Do what you can to break him out of it. He needs to understand that this girl will make the rest of his life miserable. I convinced him to break up with her 3 times. Each time she just cried and refused to leave. So he took it back. I don't think anything can change until he learns to say no, unfortunately. Trivia night at Jifra Days. One of the questions was, which band originally wrote and sang While My Guitar Gently Weeps? I said it was the Beatles, but a friend said that it was Prince. Cue a bunch of people saying, wait, you know, I think you're right. Yeah. He had that awesome live solo a few years ago. I insisted it was the Beatles. So we put it to a vote. I lost the vote. And we lost that point. Duck you, Gavin. Duck you, team. Edit. You can't Google or use smartphones in trivia. Oh, duck all of them. It was a George Harrison song. Which is why Prince did that solo at his memorial. Feeling a bit bad for George Harrison right now. Outside a bar. The bouncers offer to pay for a cab. Guy says no. Calls his girlfriend, she won't pick him up because of the baby. He says he won't drive. Walks off. Gets in his car. Does 80 miles per hour down a side road and gets busted for DUI. Offered a free cab ride home. Fed up his life. Could have killed someone. That ended better than I was expecting. Yup. Expected someone to die. A dude I used to work with had put an engagement ring on layaway for his girlfriend. He was excited to ask her, but used layaway to make sure he would have time to make the proposal perfect. His girlfriend got hired at the same job. She snooped and found the ring and cancelled the layaway, saying that he has horrible taste and how could he think she would wear something so hideous. It was a 3/4 carat solitaire. Once he got to work, she made him put a 1 1/2 carat solitaire on layaway, and she berated him for the remainder of the day and for the 5 months leading up to him proposing. He cried at work multiple times and she bragged about making him cry all the time. His parents were staunchly against him marrying her, especially after she announced at a family get-together that she would leave him if he didn't find a 6-figure salary out of college. They got married anyway. Edit, for those of you wondering. Last I heard from a co-worker is that they moved closer to his family so he could work for his dad. She used to talk about his parents like they were dirt beneath her heel. So I'm sure it's going about as well as one can imagine. She was a terrible person. Her stepdad had a lot of money, so she had become accustomed to the lifestyle, which she was no longer living in. We all told him at work she was wrong for him, but he made several excuses for her. She talked non-stop about this one-of-a-kind $80,000 dress she was going to buy to get married in. I laughed in her face when she told me my husband proposed with a $200 ring after he and I discussed for months the idea of marriage. The ring was beautiful and I loved it. He surprised me on our 2-year wedding anniversary with a slightly larger, gold-banded ring similar to the original. Our wedding only cost $2,500. She scoffed when I told her. She is probably my least favorite person I've ever met. And I've met a lot of hitty people. That poor guy. I can't imagine refusing the ring because it's not pretty enough. She sounds dreadful. Yeah, just dump her and move on, buddy. There are other people. Don't tie yourself to abusive deadweight. I went to a party with a friend and she smoked meth. I worked in retail in college and met her there. She was really nice and we had the same sense of humor. After a few weeks she invited me to a house party in the middle of nowhere and it was all like all dudes in their 30s. She was dating one of them and we were like the only girls. I wanted to leave right away because not only were the people weird, but the house was weird too. Like there were no outlet covers on the outlets and barely any furniture, but there was a stripper pole in the living room. She drove and convinced me to stay for one drink. When I got back from the kitchen with her ear, she asked me if I wanted to smoke meth. She actually called it something else, but I didn't understand and only figured it out after she started explaining it to me. I declined and then watched kind of in shock as she started to smoke it while her boyfriend started telling me that it wasn't as bad as people think. I ended up calling my boyfriend to come get me and walking to the main road to wait for him because I really didn't want to be near that house. The next time I saw her at work she told me that a few hours after I had left a guy who had been punched at the party had called the cops and she had been too afraid to go back to her car after running from the house, so she had spent the whole night just walking around in the nearby woods. I quit like 2 months later and never saw her again, but my friend who continued to work there told me a few months after the girl was fired for smoking meth in the bathroom at work. No outlet covers on the outlets. How does this make a house weird? I've never been in a house with outlet covers, unless they have small children. Edit. Oops. I was totally thinking of this plastic things you put into the sockets, not the plates type of things that go directly over the outlets. I think it means there are no covers at all. Like no cover screwed into the wall, so the wires are somewhat exposed. Good buddy of mine got together with this girl he met off of an Cupid shop. Had 3 dates with her. She lived about an hour south before she decided to quit her job and move in with him. Roughly 3 months later we are out having a few beers and he's complaining about her toxic personality. Says he's through with her and going to break up. She gets pregnant. Buddy mans up and agrees to marry her. I don't see my buddy much anymore, but the last time that I did, he had a big fight with her and came over to my house to crash on my couch. What was the fight over? She had open palm slapped the kid in the face. The kid is like 1 year old. You should report her to the police. Unless you would rather feel the guilt years later for not stopping the abuse. I didn't witness anything. and have no proof. My buddy went back to her and I haven't seen him since. He said she's promised to not do it anymore. I don't like it, but not much I can do. Idiot friend badly shocked himself trying to light a cigarette with his taser electric arc stun gun. Well, did it light the cig? Not even. He slumped over and twitched for a few seconds before dropping the cigarette, which ended up falling into a puddle. Watched my brother pre-order No Man's Sky. My wife bought it for my son. All I could do was shake my head when she showed me the cool new game she got him. He played it for half an hour and never played it ever again. I feel bad for your wife somehow. This reminds me when I was 6 years old or 7 and my father bought me a Superman game for the PS2 that I didn't want. It was a surprise. Really played only twice. It makes me so incredibly sad to see a good action turning into something not cool. Weird feeling. Thanks for tuning in for this WTF Red episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the one and only askreddit channel that will blow your mind every time.